Ruth Ann Flemings, 21, was last seen on September 20th, 1980, driving around the local teen hangout in Dewitt. The following day, her car would be found outside of her boyfriend's home with a large amount of water and blood in the trunk, but no Ruth. Her remains would be discovered 2 days later, but the mystery of what happened to Ruth and why has continued to haunt the small town of Dewitt. It's our 25th week and our halfway point, and we are in Arkansas. On September 20th, 1980, Ruth was hanging out with her friends and her brother Carl around town square. Carl had to go to work the next day, so he said goodbye to Ruth and her friends and headed home. He didn't know that that would be the last time he would see Ruth alive. He would tell THV 11 News years later that he blamed himself for what happened to Ruth because if he had stayed that night, she'd probably still be alive. We don't have a very good timeline of what happened to Ruth after Carl left that night, but we do know that around 6 a.m. on the following morning on the 22nd, a group of men traveling down Highway 1 in Dewitt saw a vehicle stopped on the roadside, and a female jumped out of the vehicle and began running towards them, waving her hands. The men say they did notice her, but they decided to keep driving. These men would give an accurate description of Ruth and her car to investigators days later. Around 7 a.m. on the 22nd, Ruth's car was found parked at her boyfriend's home on North May Street. She parked in this spot often when she was visiting him. Police searched her car and found an excessive amount of water and blood in the trunk, but no sign of Ruth. Investigators began a coordinated search effort for Ruth, and 2 days later, they found her naked and badly beaten body submerged in water under a bridge in St. Charles. The following day, Ruth's clothes and watch would be found a mile from her remains in a pond, and her sunglasses and cigarettes turned up on a road south of town. Investigators believe in total they have 4 different crime scenes to include her car. Investigators over the years have developed a list of around 6 suspects, all of which took lie detectors, some passing and some failing. Her boyfriend was cleared rather quickly of any involvement in her case, despite her car being found at his apartment. As the years advanced, investigators were hopeful that DNA advancements would lead them to Ruth's killer, but unfortunately, about 10 years after Ruth's murder, the Kansas County Sheriff gave her clothes back to her family. The current investigator, Ross Grant, said that state police most likely turned over the evidence because DNA testing wasn't available back then, and they didn't even think twice about it. Despite the years that have passed, the lack of DNA evidence, and known witnesses, he does believe her case can be solved, and that someone with a bit of information will come forward, allowing them to finally solve this case. Ruth's brother says he thinks about her often and believes if she was still here, she'd be married and have kids, and he'd get to be their uncle. His biggest hope is that justice will be served before he passes. If you have any information about Ruth's murder, you are urged to call the Arkansas County Sheriff's Department at 870-946-3161 or the Arkansas